Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to another episode of Muslims Uncensored with me, Robert Carter, and Roshan Salih. Now, let's dive straight on in. There's so much to discuss. We have got possibly the next president, the former president, Donald Trump, dodging by mere inches an assassination attempt on his life, literally on camera for the world to see. We've also got the final results of the Euro, where Spain thumped England and everything that happened afterwards. So let's go straight in on this, and there's a few other things we'll be discussing as well. Roshan, what's your reaction? Donald Trump narrowly missing death. He could have had his brains blown out right in front of our eyes. I mean, what do you make of it? I think that there's several theories surrounding why this happened and what this is all about, but just give me your initial reaction to it, because it's a massive story.
I'm a conspiracy theory guy on this one. I find it very fishy. I mean, they've done everything to prevent this guy running for president. Donald Trump, I don't like him. I think he's a loose cannon. I think he's a hypocrite and many other things. But what he is anti-establishment. He's not the establishment's guy, not completely anyway. And I think he would do certain things that the American establishment are not happy with. He's too independent-minded. He would end the war in Ukraine, for example. He would do a deal with Putin. I think the American establishment, military, industrial, and political establishment and financial establishment are invested in continuing a war with Russia, a NATO-led war with Russia. I think he probably wouldn't go to war with Iran, for example. On Palestine, I'm not sure what he would do, but the essential thing is that they've tried to stop this guy from running for president when he probably is going to win in every single way. Legally, they've dragged him through these cases with that porn star, for example. They tried to bog him down through the courts, but he's just batting it off and getting out. The Supreme Court ruled in his favor. He can run for president while being a convicted felon. So it looks like he's going to run and he's going to win. And I think the American establishment don't like that. So suddenly, suspiciously, a sniper on a roof tries to take him out. The Secret Service do a rubbish job of stopping it, or they don't stop it at all until after it's happened. The police are alerted to it by members of the public, but don't stop this guy. The snipers don't take him out. I just find the whole thing very, very suspicious.
Now, obviously, that's one theory that's going around, a conspiracy, whatever you want to call it, is that basically this was a deep state attempt to assassinate and to change the course of power, basically, in the world. I mean, this is the most powerful position in world politics, is the president of the White House. So could this be the case? Other people have also suggested, mostly online, so I don't know how credible this claim is, but some people have been saying that maybe it's a hoax, that Trump's team staged it, even going as far as to suggest that when Trump hit the deck, that maybe he just slapped a fake bit of blood on his ear, and it was one of those types of situations. Before we react anymore, let's play out the clip itself so that we can all see it again and judge. So this is a clip just before Trump realizes what's going on and the bullets start flying.
What happened to our country? Probably 20 million people.
So you can see an angle from the front and the back. Something's going on. Trump's looking up. Not sure. He's still talking. People are making a fuss. Something weird's going on. There we go. Bullets flying. Trump hits the deck. He's already hit his ear. People in the crowd. You can hear the bullets flying. People are screaming. I'll let the video continue rolling on, obviously with the volume down, as we watch the rest of the incident unfold. Someone in the crowd was killed. From what I understand from the reporting that surfaced, is that the bullet was either going to hit Trump or this bystander. It missed Trump by inches, possibly because he turned his head, and that's the only reason he's still alive. And it went and hit the guy in the crowd. There was a sniper on the roof, as you mentioned. There are people claiming that he was spotted, but it was ignored. Why intelligence wasn't on the roof? Why the security weren't on the roof? There were snipers there to protect Trump. They were only on certain roofs, not this key roof. It's very, very suspicious. Very, very suspicious.
I want to see the ear injury. I do want to see that, because if he was shot in the ear, there's blood, right? So he should have some kind of ear injury.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if he doesn't have one, then that is a bit suspicious. I find the second conspiracy, whatever you want to call it, a bit less convincing, simply because the Secret Service would have had to been in it, or you know, that kind of stuff probably would be quite easily found out. And I don't think Trump has the backing of the deep state or the establishment, unless I'm completely mistaken. I don't think he does. So in order to that to happen, he would have had to have that backing.
So basically, the reason I don't believe it's like a hoax by Trump, a staged incident, is because, like you say, there's a history there. There's a history in American politics of presidents being assassinated. So this is quite normal, to be honest, for a country which is gun crazy like America. Shootings like this happen, including at presidents.
Yeah.
However, what I think, if it was a hoax, again, he's just going to get exposed and humiliated. I mean, everyone's going to be watching this now. Do I think Trump and his allies are competent enough to stage a hoax of this magnitude on camera in front of the intelligence?
And he doesn't need to do it either, because he's gonna win the election. So he doesn't need to do it.
He's already pretty on par to win. So I just don't believe the hoax thing. Now, do I believe that this was a deep state attack?
Yeah.
Yes, I think that that's very possible.
Well, can I play devil's advocate and ask you? Yeah, go on.
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Just to expose
JFK. Remember JFK, deep state. They assassinated the president there. I'm sure of it. They set a guy up, patsy. There's documentaries about it.
Yeah.
JFK was murdered.
It is very suspicious that this guy, Matthew Crooks, whatever his name is, like, no one knows that much about him. He doesn't seem to have a background of any political activity or any major political activity. He seems to have come out of the blue without, without much of a background whatsoever. And now he's dead. So, he won't be there to answer questions. A bit like Lee Harvey Oswald. He died very soon after. He got assassinated soon after he was arrested. So we're never going to get those answers, are we?
He said he was a patsy as well, the killer of JFK, or the supposed killer. He said he was a patsy. That was the famous words. Do I think this is a patsy? Quite possibly. This guy does not look like the kind of guy that could get that cllose to a president, but unless there was something else going on here.
Everyone in America does have guns, and even very young people, as we've seen with the school shootings, they're capable of using guns. So could it be possible that he's just a lone wolf and there's a lapse in security and he nearly took out the president?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, the guy's probably a weirdo. He probably was mentally ill and acted out on that basis. But again, the wider conspiracy idea. I mean, the intelligence services. We have to believe in such a coincidence, and we also have to believe that they're really incompetent. For this to happen, they would have to be stupid. Now, do we believe American intelligence is that stupid? No, I don't. If you just look at how JFK was killed and the conspiracy surrounding that,
right,
it just looks like there was something going on, because the intelligence services don't make those mistakes. They shouldn't make. Well,
it could be a Malcolm X type situation where they've deliberately whipped up this frenzy against Trump and made people want to kill him, and then they've just literally kind of stood down security at an event he was at in the hope that somebody would have a pop. Like with Malcolm X.
I wouldn't put it past them. And again, you have to remember there are other aspects as well why they want to get rid of Trump potentially. You mentioned the Ukraine war. That's a very prime example. But we're also talking about someone who, when it comes to the JFK killing, his brother was also killed as well, remember?
Robert Kennedy.
Trump has previously promised that he would release all secret intelligent information about it that's been withheld, release all of those classified documents about it. He was forced to back down when he was president. The intelligence services advised him, don't release all the information, we're telling you not to do it. And he basically conceded. He's actually promised since that if he gets back into office, he'll release, I can't remember the number, there's like 300 documents still to be released, something like that. And apparently it would be a massive violation of national security.
Area 52 as well. And
Who
moon
knows?
landings.
Who knows? Yeah, we need to find out about the aliens as well. Yeah, the moon landings. I want to know about the aliens. They say UFOs. There's a real issue with that. Who knows? But the fact is,
all those CIA coups around the world.
This guy has been at odds with the CIA when he was in office. He's been at loggerheads with them. Now he's coming back. He could be changing the greater plan. Who knows? I mean, there is clearly a plan, a world order going on here. I mean, just everything that's coming on with Russia and Ukraine, with NATO, everything that's going on with Israel, there is a big plan here, okay? World War III could be around the corner. Trump could upset that. Honest, I'm not being an alarmist, Roshan. I'm not being an alarmist.
World War III is around the corner. I'm not being an alarmist.
I'm not trying to be an alarmist here, but I'm sorry. They're talking about national service now in this country. They're talking about stockpiling. Have you seen the headlines, Roshan? You ain't been focusing on it. I know you haven't, because you've been
Have you dug that bunker under your house yet?
You've been focusing on LGBT stories. I know what you're like.
I've been looking at the small picture. You've been looking at the worldwide
Trust
conspiracy.
me, Roshan, this is my time to get it all out of my chest. They're talking about stockpiling in this country.
Yeah.
And those headlines, they pass.
Stockpiling what? Like cans of beans and
everything. Yeah, beans, water, electricity. They're telling you to sort yourself out. You need a 3-month supply at home.
Yeah.
That's what they're advising everyone. That's government advice now, I believe.
Is it?
Get 3 months worth of stockpile
Yeah.
in case the worst happens, because they know the worst is going to happen, Roshan. They know the worst is going to happen. So all I'm saying is, if I have to, I'm not even going to say.
But I remember when COVID happened, you did think it was.
I'm ready for World War III.
I remember when COVID happened, you did think it was the zombie apocalypse, something like that. So,
well,
this is Robert Carter.
I think that they were laying the groundwork.
So what's your message? Brothers and sisters, stockpile. Dig that nuclear bunker.
I think that COVID, they were laying the groundwork for something bigger. They were testing. They were testing us. And now we may be...
Oh, we can talk openly about COVID now, can't we? We couldn't back in the day. But now we can just get everything off our chest.
We probably can't.
Yeah.
We're probably exempt from that. Everyone can, but
what do you think, before we move on, what do you think of the Secret Service agents, the fat Secret Service agents?
There's a fat one, and there's also a few female ones as well.
Yeah.
They've all been getting slammed on social media. Let's see if I can bring up a comment. Maybe you can explain why. There's basically talk of them being incompetent.
Well, when I saw it, they look really. Well, I'll wait for you to get it on the screen.
Here we go. So basically, there was a couple of female officers who were supposed to be part of the team protecting Trump. Let's bring this up now. You can see there's one there. People are saying
that's a headshot.
People are saying that they were incompetent. They looked uncomfortable. They didn't know what they were doing. They were all over the place. They were leaving huge gaps, like you see here. This female guard.
Too short.
Trump could have been killed there and then. Not a very good job at all. There was one. I'll see if I can bring her up. She seemed absolutely clueless.
Frightened.
She looked frightened, scared. She's looking left and right. She doesn't know what she's doing. She seems out of place. She can't even holster her firearm there. Look, she's struggling. And then there's all sorts of clips. I've heard ones where they're shouting, "We don't know what we're doing." Look at them. They just don't know what's going on. They don't know where to stand. They don't know which direction to look.
Are you saying these women should have been in another place? They shouldn't have been in this place.
Many people...
You can see where I'm going.
Many people are saying that this is a prime example of where, because of the... what's the word?
Quotas.
Because of...
Tokenism.
Yeah, tokenism, because we're supposed to be equal rights to all.
Yeah, it's like women's football, isn't it?
Yeah, they're
incompetent.
They're forcing people into positions not based on skill or merit or capability, but because, they just, like you
look
say,
at them.
want to make a quota. I mean, do these women
what
look
a shambles.
I mean, they look like they're playing dress up and that they're pretending to be security, and they're not very good actresses.
Maybe they're actors. Maybe they aren't real security. Maybe they're just there for the props.
Well, I think the conspiracy rabbit hole...
What are they doing? It's like they don't know even know where they're going.
Exactly.
Can't find the car door.
So basically, everyone is saying that, Trump's life... he's lucky to have his life, not just by the fact that he moved and missed the bullet, but by the fact that luckily these people
look at the men. They're like, get out of the way, girls. Get out of the way, girls. We'll take care of the president.
So this is the thing. I mean, what do you make of it? I mean, this seems a prime example. Even Mohammed Hijab brought it up here in his tweet. Let me read that out. The female security guard at the front seemed more interested in ensuring her own safety than that of Trump. Why didn't they force him to crouch down so that his vitals were better protected? This looks to me like a security failure of several proportions. So this is it. What do you make of it?
Generally the world's gone mad, isn't it? It's like, we live in this woke society which has lost all its anchors, and where men can act like women, or are supposed to act like women, and cry their eyes out all the time, and be effeminate and get in touch with their feelings, and be a bunch of wusses. And women have to be masculine, macho women, stronger than the men, doing the physical stuff that the men are supposed to be doing. And my bugbear is women's football, which is an absolute joke. And they're trying to make us... I'm a football fan, obviously. And they're trying to kind of foist that upon us, like we're interested in it, when actually it's just a bunch of girls, you know, kind of chasing the ball around, not very well, you know. And I mean, look at those YouTube compilations of, I mean, it's just horrendous, absolutely horrendous. But yeah, this is the society we live in. It's all about tokenism, isn't it? It's not about people getting things on merit. I mean, there's some things that women can do that men can't, like give birth, you know, they're good at giving birth. And where am I going with this, Robert? Am I digging a big hole?
I'm not sure. Make sure you leave your comments in the comment section.
We're different. What I'm saying is we are different. It's like Allah says, you know, we are different. We're equal, spiritually equal,
Good
but we
recovery,
are we're different, and we have different strengths and different weaknesses.
That was a good
and the
recovery.
Quran does say that on this earth, in this dunya, the male has a superior status to the female. In some aspects, we are the leaders.
That's a good recovery, quoting scripture right at the end there. That saved your point, I think. But yeah, I mean, it's silly, isn't it? We live in a society now where you're not allowed to identify. You're gender confused, and then stuff like this happens. Do you know what I mean?
They look pretty gender confused there.
But basically, yeah, they want you in the wrong position. And they want you to be confused about it, and that's what you get. You get a potentially killed president. So there we go. Right, let's talk about football now. You've already mentioned women's football, so let's talk about it. So England has lost. They reached the final of the Euro.
Yeah.
Hopes were very high here in merry old England, and they lost, which is, I think, something which many were anticipating. England are notorious losers when it comes to international football.
Yeah.
But there was more at stake here, I think, because the fact of the matter is, from our position, I think the team that the Palestinians were cheering on won, which was Spain.
Yeah.
The team which probably many Israelis were cheering on, I think they were in Tel
Yes.
Aviv. We saw footage of that. Lost.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a win, isn't it, for the Palestinian cause? Should we make this football
Political.
final all about Palestine? I think that's the best thing to do.
Well, if you look at it just from the football perspective, England were terrible, and they
Yeah.
deserved to lose. Spain were far better.
Just to clarify, in the last episode, I admitted that I hadn't watched a single England game
Yeah.
at all because I basically felt it was inappropriate because of Gaza.
Yeah.
I did watch the final, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I regret it because it was a boring game.
Yeah.
I think England specifically
England were terrible.
England
terrible.
performed pretty average, to say
Yeah.
the least. There were a few moments of flair, but very, very poor. Typical England, when they go up against a proper team,
Yeah.
they always struggle.
Yeah.
And I think, again, from what I remember, the fixtures that England had this competition were
Easy.
really easy.
Easy peasy.
Switzerland and whatnot.
Yeah,
That's when I-
Slovakia, all
yeah.
these minnows.
Easy,
Yeah.
easy peasy, and they
First good team they came across, they lost.
yeah,
And they lost convincingly. Yeah.
badly as well. And I think a lot of the England wins were like 1-0s, or they
Yeah,
won
pathetic.
on penalties.
Just fluky little goal after a terrible performance.
They won on penalties.
Bored the pants off everybody.
This is not what a competition-winning team does. I mean, you look at Italy's and Spain's and you know, the proper teams.
Spain played good football throughout, and they were entertaining, and it's a deserved victory. But yeah, I've gone off football quite a lot, but I did watch the match, and yes, I was quite invested in it because I wanted England to lose, obviously, and I'm glad they lost. Obviously, we see scenes here of this is one of the reasons why I don't like the England football team, because their fans are a disgrace, and there was loads of violence, not just in Berlin but all around the world, with coked up, drunken, violent English thugs, Tommy Robinson types, having fights, attacking the Spanish, attacking other people around the world in bars and on the streets. And for me, that's an England fan. Obviously, a lot of people don't like them because of their history of, you know, colonialism, racism, imperialism. There's this instinctive, we don't want the English to be happy. But I think a lot of people, you know, at the moment, they don't want England to win simply because England, as a nation, is supporting a genocide in Palestine. They are literally supporting the massacre of our brothers and sisters. Now, I know that's not all English people. I know England itself is split on this. But those of us who support the Palestinians, we can't enjoy the football because every day is a bad day for us when we open our social media. But those people who do like football and do support England, I'm glad they didn't have any happiness because they don't deserve any happiness. They deserve nothing but torment and misery. And I'm glad they got that with England losing.
Yeah, and you mentioned there that, you know, it's not all England fans or English people that are bad. Let's play out a clip here just to highlight that point, because it is worth mentioning as well. This is an England fan speaking after the result. He went absolutely viral, and we'll hear why now.
Tonight, they just couldn't make it, but understandable. But all I'm going to say is, Free Palestine! Free Palestine! very much.
We'll leave
Well,
that there.
you should play out what the report said. Wait,
We don't get quite so many tickets, so
I think he said something. We don't want any more of that, or something, or I don't know.
He was worried about an
Sky
anti-Semitism scandal scuppering his career, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
But,
After Baldonati, where's Baldonati? That reminds me of Baldonati. She's
yeah,
still like disappeared.
She's missing in action. Yeah, who knows? Who knows?
6 months now, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. There's another conspiracy rabbit hole which we can't go down now.
Deep state.
But yeah, exactly. Mossad, I think. But yeah, I think yeah. So England, obviously, I think. Why do they deserve to lose? They
Yeah.
lost,
Yeah.
which I think most people were predicting,
Yeah.
because they are losers. But why did they deserve to lose? Gaza, absolutely. Racism and imperialism, the thuggish behaviour of their fans, that's another good reason. And I think just, I think the only thing that made me sad actually to read was that English housewives are going to get battered. They're probably getting battered.
Oh, yeah,
as we speak.
domestic
I mean,
violence.
right now, they're probably recovering from a night of beatings. There's a serious issue. It's been reported on. I'm not just making this up, by the way.
No, I know.
That women at home who suffer with domestic abuse in this country, it's after football matches when they're, because obviously these thugs worship this sport.
Yeah.
You know, they're lost for many reasons, and that's one of them. Then they go home and beat up their wives
Yeah.
or partners if they have a bad result, and it's a real problem. So my heart goes out to all the English women, to be honest with you, the non-Muslim English women in this instance, because
They've got nothing in
they're
their
victims. They're
They've
victims
got
of
nothing
thuggery.
in their lives. These losers, and you know, they don't have religion. They don't have family. They're lost individuals. So they that's why they become obsessed with football. Anyone that is obsessed with football and is spending an incredible amount of time thinking about football, going to football games, paying for football. These are lost individuals, and it's quite sad, really.
Well, I think that's pretty much it. So England, they lost. I know that they trashed central London as well. I think there was actually a dispersal order put in place because of all these types of things. And I think the beatings, we only know on a surface level about all the beatings and fights. A lot of it's gone unreported, so we might see it as time goes on. But yeah, England lost. So what are we going to say? I mean,
I remembered what I was going to ask you now. It's about the Muslims that support England, and we won't name names, but quite a few prominent Muslims. I mean, Sadiq Khan was one of them, if you could call him a Muslim, but that's that's my own personal issue. Yeah, they were going on social media and up the lions, and you know, the three lions. I call them the three kittens, but yeah, up the three lions.
Let's talk about who else is celebrating England, because there was a mix, I think, in the Muslim community.
Yeah.
This is a divide. I think there are a lot of people who actually passionately want to support the England team, but there are many Muslims who actually don't, for the reasons that we've discussed.
Well, what do you think of the ones that do?
I must admit, it's different for me. I think the debate is actually more within the Muslim community, like the born and bred Muslims, because I am English at the end of the day. So do I have an issue with a Muslim in this country supporting England in football? I don't really care that much. Perhaps you have a different opinion.
It's not a question of Iman, because ultimately a lot of scholars and duat, they actually support England. They do. So I'm not questioning anyone's Iman here, but I think it's a question of political naivety. I think if you're a diehard England supporter and you're a practicing Muslim, it just means that you're a bit ignorant about what this country means and what the England team symbolises, because it's not just about sport. Nothing's about sport. If it was just about sport, then you wouldn't support England, because they play rubbish football.
Yeah.
So it's about what England represents. That's why, you know, people support England, because they support this idea of English nationalism and what England represents. So anyone that says this is about sport is actually a complete hypocrite. Especially if they don't actually support football. So yeah, I just view it as political. I think it's a good test. I think ultimately, if you're a practicing Muslim and you support England, it means you're just not very clued up about politics and history. It means you're a bit ignorant, really, I think.
Yeah, for sure. There's some, I guess, Sadiq Khan and those lot obviously are all down for it, waving England flags and getting involved, but they're down for everything. I mean, they fly rainbow flags as well.
I would like to, I do live here, you know, so I would like to support the England football team. But, you know, there's nothing wrong with supporting, let's say if I lived in, I don't know, Sweden, for example, I'd probably support Sweden. I mean, you know, I lived in Wales, and I do support Wales. I support Scotland when they play, because these are countries, generally, they haven't, you know, done too much. When I go there, I don't experience the same kind of racism or Islamophobia that I experience in England, you know, and they don't have governments that have waged wars on Muslim countries
Yeah.
that have this history of racism and colonialism. And, you know, like it or not, the English football team represents England. They're always hanging around with politicians and with even the military. They have this Help for Heroes thing which they sponsor. So it's intrinsically, you know, entwined with politics. They're promoting LGBT,
In
rainbow
Muslim
flags.
countries and stuff,
So don't
yeah.
tell me it's about sport. You're very naive if you're doing that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, just like you said, I mean, the fact is that it's been politicised already, but against causes that we're interested
But good
in.
result
So-
last night, eh? Viva España! I mean, just one thing. People were pointing out that Spain has a history of Islamophobia as well, and it does very well
Yeah,
documented.
absolutely, absolutely.
You know, they kind of expelled the Muslims in 1492. Even mosques could not be built in that country until recently, and there is an internal problem of Islamophobia in Spain. All I would say is that if you're looking at the lesser of two evils, Spain is the lesser of two evils because they are generally their foreign policy is more enlightened than Britain. They have supported Palestine and called for an early ceasefire way before the British did, etc. So
absolutely.
lesser of two evils, it's definitely Spain.
Absolutely. Well, there we go. That's the result, whether you like it or not. I guess in terms of other big stories, I think from our reporting, the swearing in of the 5 Muslim vote-backed MPs,
we have a look?
independents, we can bring them up now. Let's see. So we've got 3 highlighted here, but of course there were others as well. I didn't manage to find Adnan Hussein being sworn in.
No, he
for
hasn't
some
been sworn in
reason.
yet. That's why.
Oh,
we're recording this, brothers and sisters, on Monday evening. I think Adnan will be sworn in tomorrow. That's Tuesday.
Yeah, so Adnan Hussein hasn't been.
I don't care about the. I mean, you say that loads of Muslim MPs were sworn in, but we're just focusing on the independents because we don't care about the Labour Muslim MPs.
Yeah, absolutely.
As far as I'm concerned, they can do their thing. I want nothing to do with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's just Shaukat, Ayub, Adnan, and the other guy. I forget his name.
Iqbal
yeah.
Mohammed. Jeremy Corbyn was also sworn in as well.
Yeah.
He's seen by some as a win for the Muslim vote, although he's also a win for lefties and he's a non-Muslim. He did go viral at the time because he was caught saying, "Oh, this is all a bit silly. It's a bit of a joke.
It's
this
nonsense."
whole swearing in, this
Yeah,
nonsense."
I wish that the independents might have done that because obviously you have the choice when you swear in to swear upon God or to take an affirmation, a secular affirmation. Now, I think they've all chosen to take the secular affirmation simply because they didn't want to pledge allegiance to King Charles by God. So I actually agree with that. I mean, I personally couldn't take that affirmation anyway. Or if I was going to do it, I would do it under protest. And I know one MP, Clive Lewis, did take it under protest.
Yes.
So
yes.
I wish that they would have taken it under protest. Could you say it? Could you say, "I swear allegiance to King Charles"?
I think
You'd do it anyway. Well, you'd do it for free, wouldn't you?
No, I must admit. I mean,
I couldn't do
guess
that.
you could call me a Republican if you want to get into British political understanding, because I just don't believe in the royal family. I think it's a medieval institution.
No,
that's
but
well past
could
its
you
sell-by-date.
take the allegiance? Because lots of them
No, I
do
don't
swear
think
on
so.
the king,
Yeah, no, I
even though they
think
don't
so.
believe in him.
Yeah, I don't think so. No, I think it's a waste of time. I agree with Jeremy Corbyn. I think it's a very silly procedure. And like you said, I think these guys, perhaps the 5 Muslim-backed independents would have, not Jeremy Corbyn, but these guys, perhaps they didn't know of an alternative way to protest.
Then
So to
they're
give them the benefit of the doubt. I mean, the fact is, Iqbal was captured here wearing a Palestinian pin badge during the service. Alhamdulillah, mashallah. And I must admit that in itself was pretty gutsy, I have to say, because I think these days this would normally go viral in right-wing pro-Israel press. And Iqbal has already been subject of a few headlines in the Jewish Chronicle, for example, for things he said on Palestine as well as the others. So hopefully,
They're going for them.
Yeah, I think so, and they will go for them. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see brave action, braver than this even, going forward. I think we've got to give them a chance to settle in, because I wouldn't know what I'm doing. If I got elected, it would take me a while to settle in. All these procedures and medieval systems that are in place, you've got to figure out what you're doing. But I think the advice to these winners, these independent winners, is, we need some brave, strong action while you're there. We hope that you'll have a long career, I guess, but who knows? I mean, there are going to be efforts to rip them out of Westminster. So while you're there, give it your all. Let's do some good, solid work here, inshallah. And I think we need more of the same but stronger criticism of Zionism, like harsh criticism of Zionism, not weak worded letters and stuff like this. We need some real strong, harsh criticism of the government, of the institutions, and all that type of stuff there.
Yeah, I mean, we should give them the benefit of the doubt. And lots of husn have done, and time as well. And we should support them.
Yeah.
They will be attacked by the mainstream media, who are furious that they've managed to get into Parliament.
I think they
will be demonised.
Yeah, I think they'll conspire with Labour as well.
Yeah,
the media will conspire with Labour.
They're already doing it. I think, yeah, we should support them. Generally, have a supportive attitude towards them, and help them. And perhaps even turn a blind eye to certain things that they do, as long as it's not too bad, while they're settling in. And maybe criticism should be behind the scenes to a certain extent as well, in that initial period. But ultimately, there's no way of sugarcoating this, we put them there. I'm not talking about 5 pillars, I'm talking about the Muslim community. They are there because of the Muslim vote, and by the campaign on the ground and Muslim voters. So the Muslim community put them into Parliament. And we didn't put them into Parliament to be like every other MP, to mince their words, to sugarcoat things. We put them in Parliament to speak the haqq. And we put their maiden speeches in Parliament have to be about Gaza. If they're not about Gaza, then that's a problem. They need to have Palestine first and foremost. They need to talk about Islamophobia, and they need to be talking about Israel in a way that's never been spoken before in Parliament. Now, I don't want to be hearing about two-state solutions. I don't even want to be hearing too much about ceasefires and all that kind of stuff, because even Labour is talking about ceasefires now. I want to hear them saying, we need to cut ties with Israel. We need to end Zionism. This stuff, which has never been on the agenda, needs to be put on the agenda. And if that's all they do in Parliament, and we have those viral moments, then that's enough for me. But if they're going to sugarcoat and be moderate, then what's the point? What's the point? So ultimately, they have to realize that we own them. The Muslim community owns these people, okay? And if they're not good enough, then we won't be voting for them again. So this is not a threat or anything. This is just the reality. It's just the reality. So yeah, I can't wait for the moment where they're brave enough to say, no, we're not talking about any moderate language. We do not recognize Israel's right to exist. We do not recognize that at all. It's an apartheid, illegitimate state. Zionism needs to end. We need to cut ties, not just stop selling weapons to Israel or sending weapons. We need to cut ties with this disgusting genocidal apartheid state. That's what I want to hear from these guys.
And I think, just very quickly, the unique position that these gentlemen are in is very unique, because independents getting into Westminster is quite rare.
Yeah.
It's very, very rare. What that means is they literally don't have to answer to anyone. They don't have a party or a party leader that they have to worry about, and if they word things wrong, they could get in trouble or whatever. Literally, it's about, like you say, pleasing the community that got them in to the position. And they have no one else to answer to except to Allah, which is obviously what hopefully they're going to do in personal capacity as well. But they just need to say what needs to be said. They need to be brave and strong. And yeah, sure, they're going to take heat, but if they're not prepared for it, then they shouldn't have stood up in the first place.
No.
So let's see how they're going to perform.
And none of what we say...
Inshallah, they're going to perform well. I wish them all the best. But of course, we're going to be keeping an eye on it as reporters, and be reporting on it every step of the way.
None of what we say is personal, by the way. Okay, this is bigger than personal loyalties or whatever. And
I have high hopes.
We will support
I have
them.
high hopes.
We will support them. But if they turn up at LGBT pride marches, and inshallah they will not do that, or they transgress the red lines of Islam, like so many of the Labour MPs have, then we will be their biggest critic. Simple as that.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking about, we already mentioned how efforts will be made to undermine them and to basically bring them down. Efforts are being made, and in particular, it seems as if the Labour Party itself, including some loser MPs and parts of that party, are starting to go on the offensive against these independents and the supporting campaigns behind them. They're starting to saying that the Labour MPs are starting to say that they were victims of a nasty campaign, that these are nasty individuals, and that their supporters are nasty. They've been trying to link Showkat to another incident, which we can discuss as well. So here's a prime example. John Ashworth, who lost in Leicester South to Showcat, he's now gone on LBC and has basically tried to link him to another story. I'll play out a clip now and just maybe you could contextualise it better than I can, Roshan.
Organisation called The Muslim Vote, whose campaign was clear on their website. Punish MPs. That's the words they used.
The word was punish, was it?
Punish MPs. It wasn't, we want to effect change on a set of policy issues. Like many of the policy issues I fought on, whether that's calling for a ceasefire, calling for Palestinian statehood, calling for student finance arrangements for Muslim young people in our constituency. Punish MPs is what the Muslim Vote organisation talked about. What kind?
So he's talking about how the Muslim Vote were scary and were like riling up communities to go after him and stuff like that, and he had to hide in a vicarage or something like that to get away from people with foghorns,
with beards,
screaming at him saying "Free Palestine" or whatever, as if that's really intimidating. So yeah, just tell us more about this effort, because it's not the only example.
I just think that it's obvious that the defeated Labour MPs, like John Ashworth, like Khalid Mahmood, and the ones that had the scare of their lives, like Rushnara Ali, came very close to losing. Labour have invented this narrative now that the Muslim campaign against them was mendacious. They were lying about their support for Israel and intimidatory, bordering on the violent, etc., etc. It's complete rubbish. It's their narrative because they lost the support. The truth is they lost the support of Muslim voters over Gaza, over their support for Israel and their failure to act in favour of the Palestinians. That's all it is. And yes, they were confronted a few times on the streets in a peaceful way with camera. Everyone's got camera phones now. This is a democracy we live in. It's not illegal to put a camera phone in someone's face and ask them a question. What's illegal is to put your hands on somebody, is to be intimidatory. If that happened, and I don't think it did happen, in fact I'm sure it didn't, then what they got to complain about? If there were incidents of illegal behaviour, then they would have a case, but there's no incidents of illegal behaviour. It was just a tough campaign because people were angry, and we don't have the opportunity. Muslims cannot get on mainstream media. We're banned from mainstream media. So where do we get our voices out? We get it out on social media. We get it out on direct one-on-one, incidents on the streets, peaceful incidents, peaceful confrontations, debate, etc. That's the only way we can get our voices heard. So, if we were allowed on the BBC every day, then we wouldn't have to do this kind of stuff. But, so yeah, there's this narrative being pumped out by Labour. But you know what, Robert? It's the same old Labour. I don't know whether you saw the story about how they're going to try and create this. It's in the Middle East Eye that broke this story, actually. They're going to try and create this Muslim-friendly body so that they can engage with them, full of these bootlickers and nobodies like the ex-imam in Afghanistan. Shame on him for being the British Army chaplain during an invasion of a Muslim country. This is the caliber of person the Labour Party intends to, negotiate with. These people are not known in the community, and if they're known as bootlickers. They have no grassroots support. It's the Sufi Muslim Council all over again. It's the Quilliam Foundation all over again. Labour know that they cannot engage with anyone in the grassroots, in the community, anyone with any representation whatsoever. So they're going to invent this group who will basically nod at them, lick their feet, rubber stamp their policies, and be brown faces to rubber stamp white man policies. That is what Labour intends to do. And that's why we should continue and stay on an election footing and target maybe the local elections next time, because this is not a party that we can negotiate with. Their position is clear for years on Israel, on Islamophobia, on many things. We know who they are, and they're not going to suddenly change when they're in government. When they have more power, they'll be worse. So we let them do their thing, and we'll do our thing, and that is about building an independent Muslim community outside of these two disgusting, filthy, traditional parties.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's selective outrage, isn't it? The fact is that if you want to talk about toxic elections, the Brexit stuff was way more toxic than what's going on now. If you want to see how MPs are being treated, for example, and the discourse that's going on, But because it's Muslims that are upset here, it's because it's Muslims that are mobilizing, you have this narrative of, oh yeah, everyone's scared. Oh yeah, something bad could happen. Oh yeah, these Muslims are getting their cameras out and are saying "Free Palestine" to us. Oh, "Free Palestine," like he's threatening me. So it's selective outrage, and I think it's being politicized. I mean, John Ashworth, he's such a loser. Why is he even on LBC? And he's talking about threats, this, and violence, that, or he's intimidated here and there. Look, he lost. He hasn't been harmed. You know, he was filmed being questioned by people in his constituency because there's a genocide going on. Do you know what I mean? And Labour's position on it has been immoral.
You know,
I mean, what do you expect?
You know, I was saying about the mainstream media. I got an email, or 5 Pillars. We got an email asking for me from Sky News. And some people don't believe we got this email, but you have access to that same email. So Robert can go and check it if he wants to. So can Dilly. So you can corroborate my story. But I never get invited on Sky News. Like, I've never, ever been invited on Sky News about my expertise, which is, I mean, you might laugh when you say expertise, but, you know, British Muslim affairs. That's what I think I can talk about, yeah? But they wanted me on to talk about how I hate England football. Like, literally, they couldn't care less about my views on British Muslims, and I'm literally the editor of Britain's most influential British Muslim media platform. But they couldn't care less what I think about British Muslims. But they want me on to play the bad guy, to demonise when it comes to the footy.
I wonder why. Yeah, I wonder why.
That tells you everything about the mainstream media.
They're very cartoonish, aren't they? They want a cartoon villain,
Yeah,
and they want a cartoon hero or whatever. It's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. I think that's why people are ditching them in general, and their viewership.
Ditch the Labour Party, ditch the mainstream media.
Absolutely, and support 5 Pillars. Absolutely,
Yes.
That's a good message to end on. We have had a long show, so I think we'll end it there. But make sure you leave your comments in the comment section because there's plenty that we've discussed.
And we're not going to be around for a while.
And we're not going to be around for a while, so this is your main chance to speak to us if you want to whilst we're away for various reasons. Next week there's probably not going to be a show,
and probably the week after that as well.
And even the week after that,
Yeah, I
for
think
various reasons.
It's most likely we'll be back in 2 to 3 weeks.
So there you go. So that's a long old spell to be without your much beloved presenters from Muslims Uncensored. But don't worry, keep those comments coming in and we'll react to them in good time, and let us know what you think about Trump, the assassination attempt, the deep state. Do England deserve to lose all the time and why? Gaza and everything else, and also the Muslim vote, the successful MPs, and how Labour are responding as well. There was so much more we could have discussed, but we've run out of time. Thank you very much for now. Jazakallah khair. Ma salama. Assalamu alaikum. We'll catch you next time, inshallah.